We have joining us the Gambian journalist Abdoulie Sey. Hi, Abdoulie.
Hi.
Looking at all this now, how should this be a problem between both leaders? How should this really be a problem between them? Isn't there a way they can work around things?
Well, that is the hope and wish of every Gambian. The idea is because it's a coalition of 8 political parties, of which the president, Adama Barrow, is a member, and of course the vice president, who is currently leading the opposition, or the incumbent, who call it United Democratic Party. Now you have to understand that Mr. Dabo has been leading the United Democratic Party since 1996, when it was formed. He's the only leader that the party knows. Now, Mr. Barrow resigned from the coalition, UDP rather, in 2016 to lead the coalition. Now he's no more a member of the United Democratic Party. He is a member of the coalition. It's not a problem at this stage. We assume in the open it's not a problem, but then going into the future in 2021, will Mr. Dabo stand against Mr. Adama Barrow, who wants to stand for the election?
It's interesting how the relationship between the two men has turned so. Recall that it was after Mr. Barrow ascended presidency that he helped Dabo out of prison via his prerogative of mercy, and then also appointed him Minister of Foreign Affairs before he, promoted him to the vice presidency. But what is crucial about leading the UDP? Does that automatically makes you a presidential candidate?
Yeah, almost certainly, because the UDP is the biggest political party in the Gambia. It controls about 2/3 of the parliament.
But they needed a coalition in 2016 if they were really big.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did they have to, join with other parties?
That was because the incumbent president at the time, Yahya Jammeh, almost controlled the entire state machinery. Not only was he popular, but also he controlled even the voting system. Right. So in terms of giving him a valid challenge, a strong challenge to unseat him, they needed a coalition. Of course, they had tried a coalition in 2011, it didn't work. Earlier in 2006, they tried, it didn't work. But in 2016, because there was a sort of a political fatigue across the country and a sense of resentment against the former president, I think it was easier than to assume that because the leader or the person who was leading the party was more popular than the previous ones.
But isn't this such a shame? I mean, the whole country and even the region, the continent and beyond, joined the Gambia in, helping when everybody said they were tired of the former president, Yahya Jammeh then. And now are we seeing some form of authoritarianism in the person of the current president?
Well, it has not become apparent as at now, right. But then, of course, there are fears, given the fact that a few days ago he made a statement regarding his power, comparing himself with the former president. Of course, people interpreted it in different perspectives. You have to understand, too, as part of the agreement he had with the coalition in 2016 was he was going to stay for only 3 years, then resigned. That was the agreement he signed. Then earlier this year, he made, of course, he had never come out openly and say, I'm going to contest, for another election, I'm going to serve for the 5 years. But then he had made many remarks that point to the fact that he is going to complete the 5 years. Not only is he going to complete the 5 years, but he's going to seek re-election. That he has said with a meeting, of course, with members of the United Democratic Party, during which the current leader, Ousainou Darboe, was out of the country.
President Barrow at once referred to Mr. Darboe as his political father. There are people who are saying that not much of age is on the side of Mr. Darboe himself. He's looking forward to 2021. But how would you assess, governance under the new president after ousting the former?
Yeah, of course. He had mentioned, or he had referred to Mr. Darboe as a political godfather, not only once, he had said it repeatedly. And Ousainou too had expressed strong support for Mr. Barrow, especially during calls for him to resign after 3 years. But in terms of the governance situation in the Gambia present, I think a lot has improved, especially in terms of human rights, freedom of expression, and the people's participation in democracy, in seeking election, contesting elections. But of course, in terms of the space for people to participate in the development, especially youth empowerment, is still a challenge.
Abdoulie Sey, Gambian journalist, joined us to share his thoughts on happiness in the Gambia. Thank you very much for coming.
It's around.